Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, for the content for tonight, we're going to look at a real big question around this whole red flag law, bipartisan gun control thing, all the rage. When do you think that the left states are going to figure out they're not going to get a cent of this money until they curtail their gun control? And do you think that's going to happen? Yeah, life is full of little ironies, and that's what I'm going to walk you through right now. Everything's going to be linked in the description box below. This is my observation. This is my hypothesis. You guys can tell me if you agree or don't agree in the comments field below, but I'm going to present my case the best that I can right now. Now, one of the things on a personal note, you guys may have noticed over the last week, I've been kind of under the weather. My videos are a little bit later than usual, and the reason for that is because I actually tested positive for COVID, I think on Sunday or Monday. I'm a little under the weather. I'm trying my very best to keep the information and the quality the same. So if you notice something different, that's what's going on. Now, before we dive into this, I just make sure that you guys, if you find value in this information and we earn that subscription, we need as many people in the fold as we can, because with or without these rhinos, we are moving forward with our gun rights, and we are going to make this happen eventually. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Everything is linked. Let's hit it. I can't wait to hear from you guys on this one. Now, the first thing I'm going to do this setup is from the Hill. Okay. Senators hail bipartisan breakthrough on gun safety legislation. Okay, well, I'm going to try my very best to be cordial about this, but you can figure out my feelings. Negotiators race to finalize the legislative text amid signs of growing Republican opposition. Yeah, no kidding, because everyone was like, something smells rotten in Denmark. Well, Cornyn got booed at the Texas Republican Convention on Friday when he tried to explain his efforts to fend off Democratic calls for an assault weapons ban and universal background checks. Now, that did happen. The Hill's not wrong. The legislation would provide money to states to administer so-called red flag laws and other intervention procedures to keep guns away from people deemed dangerous to themselves or others. That's your run-of-the-mill red flag law. You've got states like California, Illinois, New York. You've got lots of states, 19 of them, that have some form of red flag law. But the big crux in this whole deal that they're trying to pass through and ram through is, if you don't fit the criteria that fit in this bill of what a red flag law is and has due process protections, you're not getting the money. So most of the red flag laws, I'm going to use California as an example in this video, are not going to qualify. So I hope someone told these lefty senators, and they told their states, that they're not going to get any of this money. Also, do you guys remember that whole sticking point about a week ago when they were saying when the Republican senators wanted an ability to use the money in other ways if states elect not to do red flag laws? So what it sounds like it's shaping up to be is the blue states that have red flag laws that don't have due process, which I'm about to show you, they don't get any money because they don't qualify. Red states who elect not to do red flag laws because they're constitutional states and it's an unconstitutional action, they can use money other ways. Did someone tell these lefties? Let's get it. I'm going to walk you through this real quick. And this is the thing that leads into the actual text. Cornyn emphasized that if states do not set up red flag laws with due process protections, they will not be eligible for federal grants. That's the entire crux of this bill. Okay? Check it out. This is what the requirements are laid out in the bill text. Implementation of state crisis intervention court proceedings and related programs or initiatives, including, not limited to, mental health courts, drug courts, veteran courts, and extreme risk protection order programs, which must include at a minimum. They must include this, and then I'm going to show you California, and you can tell me the disparity. Pre-deprivation and post-deprivation due process rights that prevent any violation or infringement. You have to have all these due process operations in place before a judge takes the guns. Okay? That's not the case in California, Illinois, and New York. Let's continue. Such programs must include, at the appropriate phase to prevent any violation of constitutional rights, at minimum, you got to be informed. So notice, the right to an in-person hearing, an unbiased adjudicator, the right to know opposing evidence, and the right to present evidence, and the right to confront adverse witnesses. None of that is in the I'll use California, but the red flag laws as a whole, there is no due process. Okay? So check this out. The right to be represented by counsel at no expense to the government. Well, and what I'm about to show you from California, that doesn't exist. Pre-deprivation and post-deprivation heightened evidentiary standards and proof, which mean the heightened evidentiary standards and proof under such programs must, at all appropriate phases, to prevent any violation of constitutional right, at minimum, prevent reliance upon evidence that is unsworn or unaffirmed, irrelevant, based on inadmissible hearsay, unreliable, vague, speculative, and lacking a foundation. And then this last piece, which the blue states are definitely not going to go for, penalties for abuse of the program. Anyone say blaming the victim? I can always hear it now. So now, I'm going to walk you through the California existing system, which by default is unconstitutional and will not qualify for this because it's an ex parte system, which means the judge and the complainant all meet together without you ever knowing as the focus of the investigation or the order or the gun violence restraining order. Check this out. What happens after the form is filed? Now, this is in California under a GVRO. It's linked down there if you want to see the entire process. A judge decides whether or not to grant or deny the request at a hearing. Oh, a judge does. Do you get to say anything? Nope. How does the judge decide whether to grant the GVRO? The judge will look at evidence presented by the person asking for the GVRO, including all these criteria. Again, it's linked below if you want to see it. So it's about the person complaining, not about the person who is in focus. If there is clear and convincing evidence that the gun violence restraining order is necessary based on the evidence presented, the judge will issue the order, all without you knowing, and you find out when the cops come to take your guns. Now, that obviously goes against the entire bill framework that they put together and they're actually voting on in the Senate. So again, I ask you, did the lefty senators tell the lefty states that they're not getting any money because they don't qualify for this, but the right states who don't do this get to use the funds in different directions? Life's full of little ironies, isn't it? And the last thing I'm going to show you is talk about is specifically this whole process that they've gone through. They screwed the pooch. Republicans didn't need to do this. They didn't have to do this. And then to make it worse, the manner in which they do it, because they got nervous because Republicans were figuring out what they were doing, they ran it through in an off-colored process that is a disgusting move and an abuse of power, further cementing the fact that they will be removed in time. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments field below, and I will see you on the next one.